still have.
Yes, Master.
Hey guys, welcome back. I've got another book review for you today. Today I'm reviewing the final book in the Thrawn trilogy, The Last Command. Of course, it's also by Zahn. This book, I think, is the best one in the series. Of course, I may be biased because this was actually the first one I ever read, and I was hooked the minute I did read it. I think I first read it back in, wow, I must have been 12 or 13 when I read this for the first time. And yes, I've got a cheat sheet right here because I'm not good at organizing my thoughts unless I write them down. Anyway, enough talking. Alright, after another victory, Thrawn sets his final plan in motion to overthrow the New Republic. So in the last book, he just keeps winning more and more and more, and more systems are getting converted, I guess you could say, or drawn in to the Empire, which is not good for the fledgling New Republic, because their forces are being spread thin across the galaxy. And Mr. Cuckoo, the crazy dark Jedi Joros, the guy whose last name I can't pronounce, he's getting very impatient to reel in what he calls his Jedi, and that's Leia and her two unborn twins. He wants them really bad, and this guy is so delusional, it's not even funny. They tried to capture them when the Falcon's on their way out of his system during like a really crazy firefight, but joke's on them, Falcon gets away, and the Dark Jedi is like, well, no, not today, but they will come to me. This guy's completely nuts. And not long after getting back to Coruscant, Leia has her two babies and names them Jason and Jaina. Now, Luke, in the meantime, he is looking for Thrawn's cloning facilities. He runs into Talon Card on a planet called Burchest, whatever. It's spelled Burchest. And just barely escapes being captured by the Imperials himself on a planet called Padaris. And unfortunately, after this escape, his X-Wing, kind of like in the first book, ends up being kind of low on fuel and consumables, so he has to go into another Jedi hibernation trance to preserve his life support until he can make his way to the nearest planet. And the planet he ends up going to is the home planet of the Nagri, where Leia has already visited, and he, hears a little bit more about their story. Now, as far as Mara Jade goes, she sustained a head injury at the end of the last book, and she's been recovering from it ever since. And now she's finally starting to have doubts about Palpatine's final orders. She's wondering, okay, this voice in my head, I need it to stop. But Leia brings something up. Okay, is it you that wants to kill Luke, or is it the Emperor that wanted to kill Luke? So she's questioning her own motivations right now. And after the twins are born, there's another kidnapping attempt on Leia, but it's thwarted. But Leia is warned ahead of time by none other than Mara Jade, who also happens to be on Coruscant at that time. And basically, everything is coming to a head. We're coming down to the final battle in this series. Both the final battle with Thrawn's forces and the final battle with the crazy Jedi Master. And we find out whether or not Mara follows through on her compulsion to follow Palpatine's final orders, which is, you must kill Luke Skywalker. Will she kill him? Will she not kill him? Well, I have to read the book to find out. What I liked most about The Last Command was the introduction to the twins. Zahn writes them pretty well. I mean, they're just babies. But he's pretty realistic in the way he writes them and Leia's connection with them. It's very sweet. And, I love mush anyway, and baby mush is one of my favorite kinds. I also really like Mara's choices that she makes in here. She does have a conscience, and she is human, and she shows that in this one, and I really like that. It helps make her character way more likable. And I also absolutely adore the characterizations of Han, Luke, Leia, and even Lando when he shows up. It's so realistic that when I was reading this the last time, I could hear their voices as I was reading this book. Saying the dialogue, so maybe that makes me a little bit crazy, but that's how good it is. It's really good. What I disliked most about this book was, spoiler alert, the finale lightsaber duel ends up being between Mara and a clone of Luke Skywalker. That's right, they went and cloned Luke from, you know what it was? Somebody actually retrieved his severed hand from the bowels of Cloud City and used that DNA to make a clone of him. Yuck. And of course that totally messes with Luke's head. But it's kind of a classic fantasy thing of someone fighting your evil twin. But the fact that his clone was named Luke with 2 U's, that just made it weird, and the clone Luke had, like, no emotion at all. It was just weird. Ugh. That being said, my favorite character in The Last Command is, of course, Luke. I always love Luke, but finally he's got his head screwed on straight in this one, and he seems fairly easygoing, although he is a little bit paranoid, a little bit worried about Leia. That's understandable. But otherwise he's like the consummate Jedi. I just love this guy. And also, most importantly, it's his compassion and his capacity for forgiveness. Spoiler alert, if you have not read the book, please turn away now, but it ends with, Luke and Mara talking, and Luke has no quarrel with her at all. He doesn't hold any grudges, and he actually gives her a lightsaber, and she's like, what the heck, you're giving this to me? And he basically just shrugs it off. I love the way he does that. The last scene in this book is priceless. I absolutely love it. Okay, so enough gushing about Luke Skywalker. My least favorite character in this is the cuckoo, super crazy, dark Jedi Master, Joros Cabal. That guy. He's so nuts, and it's annoying how crazy he is. I mean, you've heard of delusions, excuse me, you've heard of delusions of grandeur? Yeah, this guy, oi. I am so glad they didn't bring him back in any other books. Even as a clone of a clone. Ugh. Molecular breakdown. So all that being said, would I recommend this book? Oh, definitely, in a heartbeat. Like I said, the Thrawn trilogy is my absolute favorite series in the Legends expanded universe. I've read it and reread it, and every time I read it, it just seems to get a little bit better. Like I said, there's some plot points that I don't like, but I can overlook those in the face of such excellent writing and excellent character building that's in these books. So I would rate this book, The Last Command, 5 lightsabers out of 5. It's so good. And if you haven't read this series yet, you have got to find a way to pick it up either at a library or as an audiobook or something. You need to hear this story, if nothing else, just to give it a chance. Well, guys, that's all for today. Thank you guys so much for watching this book review. Question of the day. Have you read the Thrawn series, and what do you think of it? Go ahead and post a comment below. Next week, I'm going to be reviewing a canon book. I believe it's called Heir to the Jedi, and I cannot wait for that one. I've read that one before. It's one of my favorites, and I can't wait to tell you why. But that's all for today, and until next time, this is the Clumsy Jedi signing off. Bye, guys, and I hope everyone has a great weekend.